Even though nobody saw the video hardly yesterday except like 4 or 5 people, I went ahead and deleted it today because the reporting has changed and it's not exactly what was listed in that video. Now, there has been a lot of misinformation and there's been a lot of lies going on about everything, but there were no militiamen hunting FEMA. In fact, that just wasn't the case. Now, we'll talk about in the future more about the misinformation given. But let's talk about what happened in this case. The perpetrator of this whole thing that made people think there were militiamen everywhere was one man, William Jacob Parsons. That man decided to take it upon himself, according to the Weatherford County Sheriff, to terrorize the public. He's been booked on charges of terrorizing the public with a firearm. And he did this, why? We don't know exactly. But we do know what he did, right? We know that what he did delayed vital care and recovery efforts in the area. That means people in the area got slower care for those few days while they were trying to figure that out than they should have been getting. Now we know the reasons for the stuff. We understand why they do this sometimes. There's all the misinformation, right? And they believe it. They believe there's all these crazy conspiracies out there trying to destroy America. And for the most part, they're not true. Almost everything Donald Trump tells you is a lie. Like, I haven't found anything he said in the last few months that wasn't a lie. But now Donald Trump is on to a new thing, right? He's on to this new thing. Now that this didn't work, that people didn't believe the misinformation that he gave about Hurricane Helene, he's decided to go with a new trope of sorts, claiming that he's fighting the enemy from within, as he put it on Fox News and in some of his rallies, threatening to put liberals and others that disagree with him in prison camps. Now, I talked about this in one of my Project 2025 videos about what Donald Trump was wanting to do. But now he's made it perfectly clear what he wants to do. If you don't support him, he wants to put you in a prison camp. And I don't see how that doesn't disgust other people. Like people on the right that I don't see that they say they love America, but they want to put their fellow Americans in concentration camps? You know, the US did that before, right? It's not something far-fetched. The American government did that before. During World War II, thousands of Asian Americans were forced into these camps because they were considered a threat to America. They weren't a threat, right? All you got to do is see that they weren't a threat. They weren't doing anything but working and living their lives. They lost their homes. They lost all their belongings. They lost family members in these camps. George Takei tells it, you know, tells it like it was. I believe he has books about it, several blog posts about it for sure. But it's happened before, and so it could, it's potentially able to happen again. Literally, all Trump has to do is invoke that um, Enemies Act of like 1798 or something like that, or not, I can't remember exactly what it was, but there is a law in the books that allows for certain people to be detained if they are deemed a threat to the country. And literally all Donald Trump has to do is claim the Democrats are a threat, and he can start putting them in prison camps. See, when that law was made, they didn't think that would happen. They didn't think there would be somebody that would come along to do this kind of stuff. Right? It was meant to actually, to be able to imprison, you know, people that are attacking the country. Right? Foreign actors that are trying to destroy the country or attack the country. But that's not what he wants to use it for. He wants to use it as a way to get back at his enemies. The people that don't support him, he sees as enemies. If you don't support MAGA, you don't support him, then you're an enemy. That's not how politics are supposed to work in this country. That's not how this country works. But it's how he wants it to work. Now, this isn't to be alarmist or to alarm anybody or upset anybody. This is exactly just what he said, right? And how we know that wasn't just talking about illegal immigrants is that in his interview with Fox News when he was discussing it, he talked about Adam Schiff. I think current congressional member from California and critic of Donald Trump. He said that guy was scum and he would need to be dealt with. That he was an enemy. And claimed that he was part of the enemy within. That means that's a target on the back of every liberal in this country, especially liberal politician in this country. And it's absolutely repulsive. And it's absolutely disgusting that people would want to do that to our country. So hopefully Kamala Harris wins in November. That's the upside, right? That she'll win, Trump will lose, Trump will go away. Because I just don't think it's possible that he's going to survive through the next 4 years. And unfortunately, J.D. Vance and the Trump ilk will continue to exist. So until that particular scourge, that hatred, that bigotry is no longer running for office, I'll be voting for the Democrat as long as we're able to vote. I will not have, I will not go quietly. I will not have my fellow people in the trans community and the LGBTQ community at large be constantly attacked by politicians under the threat of being thrown in prison camps. I won't do it. So for sure, right here at the Big Ranch Show, we will always fight for the LGBTQ community. We'll always fight for our republic and keeping it, secure. And I don't understand how people work. I really don't understand how people do this, want to destroy our republic just because people are different than them. They're literally wanting to turn us into a fascist dictatorship because they don't like brown people. Explain that to me. Like, how is this election even close? My hope is that Kamala Harris will win. That's my hope. I think she has some good policy ideas. I think I think there's one policy that they both have that is interesting, and I think it's actually useful for people, and that is doing no tip or no taxes on tips. I think that's reasonable. That's the only thing from the Trump campaign that I've heard that I actually support. She wants to include $25,000 in assistance for going towards the purchase of your first home if you're in the market for that kind of thing. She wants to make it to where rent is affordable. She wants to do things to actually help the working class. She grew up in a working class family. She knows what it's about. She knows how hard it is. And she was able to pull herself up, get herself through law school, and not have to struggle as much, right? And I see people all the time like, well, if she's so good, why didn't she win in 2020? Because Joe Biden was on the ticket. That's why. Joe Biden was running. And everybody thought that Joe Biden would do a good job. And he did a good job until he no longer felt he could continue. Right? He's still doing his job now. But he knew he wouldn't be able to do it in the next over the next 4 years going forward. People thought a lot of Joe Biden. They still do. Joe Biden was a good candidate. He was the better candidate in a lot of respects. Joe Biden was not my first choice. My first choice was Bernie Sanders or Beto O'Rourke. Those were my choices. But when they coalesced around, when Beto O'Rourke and them and all the others coalesced around Joe Biden, what are you going to do? So anyhow, this has been the Big Ranch Show. I'll see you down the road, and I hope you're having a great day.